Spantastic Productions presents The Beatles Through Our Lives. The Beatles arrived in the United States on February 8th of 1964. The following day, they appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show and set a record with over 70 million viewers. After touring Europe, the United States, and the world, the Beatles hit another milestone by playing the first outdoor stadium rock concert ever in New York at Shea Stadium. 1965, over 70,000 people showed up. But the rigorous touring and the fact the Beatles could not hear themselves sing or play with all the fan noise made John Lennon crack up and just plain lose it on stage, according to Ringo Starr. 1 year later, the Beatles put an end to touring. Here, Paul and George play at their last planned live concert at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. The Beatles were still in demand after they quit touring, but they couldn't be everywhere at once, so they started making music videos long before MTV. Here, George and Paul get ready to record Paperback Writer. For the rest of their years together, they would stay in the studio. In this session, they're working on the Revolver album. By 1967, the Beatles were ready to go into uncharted musical territory. Their new album was called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The album was critically acclaimed, and the Beatles, once again, were paving the way with new creativity. The Beatles wrote many of their songs for the White Album in India. The Beatles also had their own spiritual advisor as well, the Maharishi Yogi. But later, they found out that His Holiness also wanted their wives and girlfriends. So they left. Besides, Ringo didn't like the food. Later that year, John and Paul announced the Beatles were going into business. Their new company, Apple, would be to help out new artists trying to get their products to the public. Successes included Mary Hopkin, James Taylor, and Badfinger. Their failures, well, were just about everybody else. Apple didn't last but a few years. The Beatles decided to play another concert together, this time impromptu, from the roof of the Apple building. They brought business and traffic to a standstill for about an hour in London. The police eventually broke it up. The Beatles themselves would break up the following year. Tragically, John Lennon was shot on December 8th of 1980. He died after midnight on December 9th. This photo was taken the day he was gunned down. 15 years after John's death, his wife Yoko gave the three surviving Beatles a couple of John's unfinished tapes for the Beatles to finish. Here they are with Beatle producer George Martin recording Free as a Bird and Real Love. Some years after an assassination attempt on his own life, George Harrison succumbed to cancer in 2001. Today, Paul and Ringo still tour and make new albums almost every year. Here they are together 3 years ago. Thanks for watching, folks, and as John Lennon would say, I hope you enjoyed the audition.